The night felt unnaturally quiet, not the kind of silence that comes from a lack of sound, but the heavy stillness that settles right before something bad is about to happen. The moon was out, but its light seemed hesitant, like it was afraid to touch the kingdom of Eldoria. Dark clouds drifted across the sky, letting the light slip through for a moment, then hiding it again. Princess Aria stood on the northern balcony of the palace. She wore a soft silver dress, her hair moving gently with the wind. Moonlight touched her face, making her look almost unreal. But her eyes, there was no royal pride in them, only emptiness, a deep, quiet loneliness. She stared into the darkness, like she was searching for something, something she didn't even understand herself. This palace, she thought, is nothing but a cage. She had grown up here, golden doors, royal feasts, hundreds of servants. She had everything, and yet she never had freedom. You're here again? A soft voice came from behind. Arya turned. Mira, her closest person. A servant, but more like a friend. There was concern in Mira's eyes. Still not asleep? She asked, stepping closer. Arya gave a faint smile, but it carried exhaustion. I can't sleep. Mira stood beside her. Tonight feels strange. Something's off, she said quietly. Arya looked up at the sky. Do you ever wonder how much we actually know? Mira paused. What do you mean? This kingdom? This palace? My family? Arya hesitated. Is any of it even real? Mira didn't answer, because she knew those weren't simple questions. At the same time, far from the palace, near the border, a man moved silently through the darkness, dressed in black, half his face hidden in shadow. His eyes were sharp, alert, every step calculated. He wasn't just a soldier. His name, Golden Brother's stories surrounded him. Some said he could turn the tide of an entire war alone. Others said he moved like a shadow, and his enemies never even realized when death found them. But tonight, he wasn't here for war. He stopped. The palace lights glowed faintly in the distance. Something stirred in his chest. Slowly, he pulled out an old letter. The paper was worn, slightly torn, but one name was still clear. Aria. For a moment, his eyes softened. Something rare for someone like him. So many years, he whispered. It ends tonight. Inside the palace, Arya suddenly froze. Her body tensed. Mira? She said softly. Do you feel that? Mira looked confused. Feel what? Arya glanced around. It felt like someone was watching her, very closely. Is it just me? She wondered. But deep down, she knew it wasn't. The golden bro stood in the shadows. He looked up. A window was lit, and there, a silhouette, a girl. Something in his chest stopped. There, he murmured. Then he began climbing the wall, silently. His movements were flawless, like he'd done this 100 times before. Every step controlled, every breath measured. Within moments, he reached the window. He looked inside, and froze. Arya stood there, moonlight on her face, that emptiness in her eyes, yet something undeniably beautiful. Goldenburst couldn't look away. This is, he thought, her, not just a girl, a memory, a promise. Suddenly, Arya turned. Their eyes met. Time stopped. The air stopped. Everything stopped. Golden Rose tried to move. Too late. Who are you? Arya's voice trembled. Not just fear, but curiosity. He stayed silent for a moment, then quietly said, I'm not your enemy. Arya frowned slightly. Then why are you here? He held out the letter. The moonlight hid it. For this. Arya's eyes widened. She stepped closer, her hand trembling. This letter, she whispered. Where did you get it? His voice grew heavier. This letter. He paused. A shadow of the past crossed his eyes. Is your past? Thunder echoed in the distance. The sky roared. The wind picked up suddenly. It felt like a storm was coming, not just in the sky, but in their lives. Aria stared at the letter. Her heart was racing. In front of her stood a stranger, yet his voice, his eyes, felt strangely familiar. "Who are you?" she asked again. He stayed quiet for a moment, then said softly, "Someone who knows the truth." The wind grew stronger. The candle flickered. Shadows danced along the walls. And within those shadows, a new story had just begun. Chapter 2. Thunder cracked across the sky, making the entire palace tremble. The moon vanished behind thick clouds. Inside the room, the candlelight flickered wildly, shadows on the walls twisting like they were alive. Aria stood still, the old letter in her hand, but her eyes weren't on the letter anymore. They were locked on Golden Brothers. Inside her, something strange was building. Fear, curiosity, and something else. An unfamiliar pull she couldn't explain. "You can't come inside," Aria said softly. Her voice carried the weight of royal rules. But it wasn't entirely true, because deep down, she wanted him to stay. Golden Bros placed a hand on the edge of the window. The wind pushed through his hair. "I don't have much time," he said quietly. "If you want the truth, you have to let me in." Silence. Only the storm outside. Mira was still standing nearby. She stepped forward, fear clear in her eyes. "Princess, this isn't right. We don't even know who he is." "No." Arya cut her off. Even she was surprised by her own voice. Why did she say that? Was she losing her mind? But something inside her was certain. He wasn't lying. Slowly, she said, "Come in." Golden Bros stepped inside, soundless. His feet touched the floor, but not a single noise followed. Like a shadow taking form, the room was softly lit. Golden decor, velvet curtains, fragrant flowers, everything royal. And yet, the room felt cold, beautiful, but empty of warmth. Golden Bros glanced around. For a brief second, something crossed his eyes, like he had seen this place before. Then he looked back at Arya. "Are you okay?" he asked suddenly. The question felt out of place. A stranger sneaking into the palace? And that's what he asks first? Arya frowned. "Do you know me?" He didn't answer. Instead, he handed her the letter. The moment she touched it, her body trembled, like she had just touched a memory. She slowly unfolded the paper. Old, faded, but the words clear. "If you ever want to know the truth, find him. He will protect you. Mother." Tears filled Arya's eyes. Her lips trembled. This is my mother's handwriting." Her voice broke. "But my mother—" She stopped. "She's dead." That was what she had believed her entire life. That was what everyone told her. Golden Bros spoke quietly. "Your mother isn't dead." The air in the room grew heavy. The candlelight flickered dangerously. "What are you saying?" Arya's voice shook. Fear and hope clashed in her eyes. "She wasn't killed." He stepped closer. "She was hidden." Mira couldn't take it anymore. "That's a lie!" she shouted. "Princess, we need to—" "Stop!" Arya snapped. Silence filled the room instantly. Mira froze. There was no fear in Arya's eyes now. Only anger. Years of unanswered questions burning through her. "They've all been lying to me," she said quietly. "What if this is true?" Golden Bros stepped closer. His voice low, but heavy. "I grew up with that letter." Arya stared at him. "What do you mean?" "Your mother." He paused, a flicker of memory in his eyes. "She gave it to me." Arya's heart skipped. "When?" "When you were very young," he said. "And I—" He stopped. "What are you?" Arya asked softly. "I was a soldier's son." Simple words, but hiding something deeper. "My father," Golden Bros continued. "He was your mother's protector." Mira slowly stepped back. She could feel it now. This wasn't just a story. This was truth. But one night, his voice darkened. Everything changed. Thunder roared again outside. The palace was attacked that night, he said. Everyone believed it was the enemy. He paused. His eyes burned. But the real enemy was inside. Aria's breath caught. Who? She whispered. Golden Bros looked straight into her eyes. Deep, unshaken. Your own father. A beat of silence. The king. No. Aria stepped back. Disbelief filled her face. That's not possible. Memories flooded her mind. Her father, his smile, his affection. He loves me, she whispered. Golden Bros answered quietly. The man you know might not be who you think he is. The words hung in the air, heavy. Suddenly, footsteps outside the door, the clanking of armor. Mira gasped. Someone's coming! Golden Bros glanced at the window. His expression turned cold again. I have to go. Arya stepped forward. No, you can't. But she stopped herself, because she knew. He was right. He moved closer to her, his voice low, firm. If you want the truth, he paused. Come to the West Tower tonight. Arya's eyes widened. The West Tower, the most feared place in the palace. What's there? She whispered. Golden Bros answered. The truth. Voices of guards echoed outside. This way! Someone broke in. Time was up. For a moment, Golden Bros looked at Arya. Something in his eyes. Something he couldn't hide. Then, he disappeared into the darkness. The door burst open. Guards rushed in. Princess! We saw a shadow. Arya quickly composed herself, her face calm again. Royal. It's nothing, she said. You may leave. The guards hesitated, then bowed and left. Silence returned, but not the same silence as before. Arya stood by the window, the letter still in her hand, her mind racing. Her mother is alive, who her father really is, and that mysterious soldier, the West Tower. She whispered softly, I'll be there. Thunder echoed again in the distance. It felt like everything was about to change tonight. Chapter 3. The night had grown deeper. Arya stood by the window. Only one thought echoed in her mind. The West Tower. Are you really going? Mira asked, her voice shaking. Arya didn't turn. I don't have another choice. But that man! We don't even know who he is! This time, Arya slowly turned. There was no fear in her eyes. I don't know who he is. She paused. But I do know one thing. I don't know the truth inside this palace. Mira fell silent. A beat. Then, the bell rang. Midnight. Arya closed her eyes. Her mother's words echoed in her mind. He will protect you. She opened her eyes. I'm going. Arya quickly changed out of her royal gown. Simple clothes. Hair covered. Face partially hidden. No one could recognize her. Mira stood by the door. Let me come with you. No. Arya moved past her. This is something I have to do alone. She moved down a secret staircase beneath the palace. Each step felt heavy. Every sound too loud. Then, a noise. She froze. Was someone behind her? Who's there? She whispered. No answer. But the feeling, someone was watching her. Suddenly, a guard appeared ahead. Who's there? Arya stopped. Was this it? The guard stepped closer. Then, a shadow moved behind him. Fast. Precise. Thud. The guard collapsed. Unconscious. Arya stared. You? Golden Bros stood there. I told you. You couldn't do this alone. Arya narrowed her eyes. Are you following me? I'm keeping you alive. Silence. Arya spoke quietly. I'm not trying to run away. Golden Bros met her gaze. Tonight, you're not running. He stepped closer. You're walking toward the truth. They moved together. The tower stood ahead. Old. Dark. Unsettling. Arya stopped. What's inside? Golden Bros answered. Something that will change your life. Suddenly, the door creaked open on its own. Arya stepped back. That's not normal, Golden Bros said. The truth never is. Inside, dark stairs. They began walking down. Aria's breathing quickened. My mother. Is she here? Yes. Just one word. But it shook her completely. They reached the bottom. A massive iron door. Golden Bros placed his hand on it. It opened. Inside, a dark chamber. At the center, a throne. And on it, a crown, stained with blood. Arya stepped back. What is that? Proof of that night. Suddenly, clang! The door slammed shut behind them. Arya turned. We're trapped! Footsteps echoed. Slow, deliberate. Someone was coming. Golden Bros drew his sword. No need to hide. A voice emerged from the darkness. Golden Bros! Arya's heart pounded. A figure stepped forward. Royal clothing, cold eyes. Welcome, princess. Arya's throat went dry. Who are you? The man smiled. Your past. Golden Bros clenched his jaw. Valerian. Arya's eyes widened. Valerian stepped closer. You wanted the truth. He glanced at the blood-stained crown. This is that night. The night your mother disappeared. Arya's voice trembled. What did you do? Valerian smiled slowly. I simply created the truth. Chapter 4. Silence filled the chamber. Arya stood still. In front of her, Duke Valerian. You, Arya's voice trembled. What did you do to my mother? Valerian began to walk slowly. No fear in his eyes, only control. I didn't do anything, he said calmly. I simply allowed what was meant to happen. Golden Bros clenched his jaw. Don't lie, Valerian smirked. You're still as naive as ever, Bros. Tell me the truth, Arya shouted. A pause. Valerian stopped. This time his eyes locked directly onto hers. All right, he said. You want the truth? Then listen. This kingdom, he said slowly, was never your father's. Arya froze. It belonged to my father. Golden Bros said nothing, like he already knew. Arya whispered, What do you mean? Valerian stepped closer. Your father took the throne. He removed mine. No, Arya shook her head. He's not like that. Are you sure? Valerian cut in. That one question, and Arya went silent. Your father raised me like his own son, Valerian said quietly. Do you know why? Arya didn't answer. Because I'm his brother's son, the only witness to his crime. Silence again. Golden Bros spoke low. You're lying. Valerian laughed softly. Then why are you here? Why is that crown covered in blood? Golden Bros didn't respond. Valerian lifted the crown. I'm not alone, he said. I built something. A small smile formed. The Shadow Council. Arya's heart pounded. They control the entire kingdom, Valerian continued. Your father is just the face. But the real power, he looked at her, is ours. Valerian stepped closer to Arya. His voice dropped. And you? You were always part of my plan. Arya stepped back. What are you talking about? I've watched you since you were a child, he said. I thought, when you grew up, I'd marry you. Arya's eyes widened. And then, I'd become king. The air turned cold. But, Valerian paused. A cold smile appeared. Now you know everything. A beat. So I'll have to kill you. Arya's breath caught. Golden Bros stepped in front of her. Take one more step. Valerian raised a hand. Relax. He looked back at Arya. But, I'll give you a choice. Arya spoke slowly. What choice? Valerian moved closer. Marry me. Silence. Stand beside me. Let me become king. Anger flashed in Arya's eyes. I would never. Your mother is alive. Everything stopped. Arya's eyes shook. What? She's with me, Valerian said calmly. If you refuse, she dies. Tears filled Arya's eyes. Golden Bros stepped forward. Don't believe him. Stop! Arya shouted. She was trembling. Only one thought in her mind. My mother is alive. If I agree, she whispered. You'll let her go? Valerian smiled. After the wedding, she's free. Aria closed her eyes. A deep breath. Then she opened them. I agree. Golden Bros froze. No, he whispered. You can't do this. Aria looked at him, tears in her eyes, but she said nothing. Valerian smiled. Wise choice. He raised his hand. Let them go. Suddenly, guards stepped out from the shadows. Golden Bros lifted his sword, but stopped, because Arya stopped him. No, one word. Everything changed. Valerian turned away. Tomorrow, he said, our engagement will be announced. He smiled. And then, this kingdom will be mine. Valerian left. The guards disappeared. Silence returned. Golden Bros spoke slowly. Why? Arya's voice trembled. I'm going to save my mother. And after that? He asked. Arya looked at him. This time, there was fire in her eyes. After that, I'm going to end him. Golden Bros went still. He understood now. This was no longer politics. This was war. Chapter 5. The grand hall of the palace buzzed with voices. Kings, nobles, generals, everyone was present, and at the front, Duke Valerian, beside him, Princess Aria. Her face was calm, but inside, a storm. On this day, Valerian announced, his voice steady, I have something to declare. The room fell silent. He turned to Aria, that same cold control in his eyes. In a few days, I will marry Princess Aria. Whispers erupted across the hall. Aria stood still, her hands clenched tightly. Seated before everyone, the king, Aria's father. A faint smile rested on his lips, but his eyes, suspicious. This is sudden, Valerian, he said slowly. Valerian bowed his head. For the stability of the kingdom, swift decisions are necessary, Your Majesty. The king remained silent for a moment. His gaze shifted to Aria. Do you agree to this? The entire hall held its breath. Aria answered quietly, Yes, father. And with that single word, Golden Bros felt something inside him break. At the edge of the hall, hidden in the shadows, stood Golden Brothers watching, listening, his fists clenched tight. You're lying, he muttered under his breath. The pain in his eyes was clear. Arya glanced at him. Just for a second, their eyes met. Everything was said, without a single word. Valerian raised his hand. The wedding will take place in 3 days. Gasps filled the room. The king frowned. 3 days? Time is limited, Your Majesty. Valerian replied calmly. The king said nothing, but the suspicion in his eyes deepened. That same night, in the palace garden, Arya stood alone. You're late, she said quietly, from the shadows. Golden Bros emerged. I thought you wouldn't come, he replied. Arya looked straight at him. I'm pretending, she said in a low voice. He froze. I'm not going to marry him, she continued. I'm buying time. Why? He asked. Her eyes filled with tears. My mother is alive. Silence. Golden Bros spoke carefully. You're sure? He said so. And I want to believe it. Golden Bros stepped closer. Then we have 3 days. Arya nodded. We need to find out where my mother is, what the Shadow Council really is, and Valerian's full plan. Golden Bros added. And one more thing. What? He looked into her eyes. You don't trust him, but don't lose yourself either. Arya paused, then quietly said, I'm not the same person anymore. Elsewhere, the king sat alone, Valerian's report in front of him. Something isn't right, he murmured. Beside him stood a man, the royal guard's captain. You suspect something? The captain asked. The king replied slowly, I trust no one. Not anymore. The captain leaned slightly closer. Then give the order. A pause. Keep him under watch. A faint smile appeared on the captain's lips. As you wish. The captain left the room, and in the shadows, he whispered, Everything is going perfectly. But who was he talking to? Back in the garden, Arya and Golden Bros stood together. We need to move fast, Bros said. Arya nodded. Because in 3 days, everything will change. Far above, on top of the palace tower, Valerian stood watching. A slow smile spread across his face. You think you understand the game, but I'm the one who started it. Chapter 6. Night. The palace looked calm on the surface, but underneath, the game had already begun. 3 days, Golden Bros said under his breath. That's all we've got to figure everything out. Arya nodded. My mother's location, what the Shadow Council really is, and Valerian's full plan. Where do we start? She asked. Golden Bros paused. Below the palace, Arya frowned. What do you mean? All the kingdom's secrets aren't hidden above, he said. They're buried underneath. She studied him. How do you know that? A faint smile crossed his face. Because I used to be here. A beat. Not as an enemy, but as someone who belonged. Arya didn't press further, but she knew there was more to that story. They moved to an old, forgotten part of the palace. A blank wall. No doors. Golden Bros pressed a specific stone. Click. The wall shifted open. A dark tunnel revealed itself. Arya whispered, Does anyone know about this? Only the ones who hide the truth, he said, and the ones who go looking for it. They stepped inside. A few steps in. Footsteps. Arya froze. Did you hear that? Golden Bros drew his sword. A shadow emerged. Stop. A voice. They held their ground. A woman stepped into view. Sharp eyes. A scar across her face. Simple clothes. But a presence that felt dangerous and calm. What are you doing here, Bros? She asked. Arya looked at him surprised. Golden Bros spoke quietly. Elara stepped forward. I thought you weren't coming back, she said. I didn't come back, Bros replied. I came for the truth. Elara shifted her gaze to Arya. So, this is the girl. Arya straightened. I'm Princess Aria. Elara gave a faint smile. I know exactly who you are. Silence lingered. Golden Bros stepped in. We don't have time. We need your help. Elara watched him carefully. You always show up late, she said. That hit something. Bros went still for a second. This time, he said. I don't plan on being late. Elara turned. Follow me. They moved deeper into the tunnel. The Shadow Council, she said, is bigger than you think. Arya asked. Who are they? People inside the kingdom. The ones who control the king, Golden Bros added. Valerian isn't alone. Elara stopped briefly. He never was. They entered a small underground room. Maps, documents, markings everywhere. Elara pointed to a location. This place. This is where they keep important prisoners. Arya's voice trembled. My mother? Elara didn't answer directly. It's possible. Suddenly, noise in the distance. Alara's eyes sharpened. They found us. Golden Bros frowned. That's impossible. No one knows this place. Elara spoke quietly. No, someone told them. Silence. Arya whispered. You mean, one of us is a traitor, Elara finished. Torchlight flickered in the distance. Guards, closing in. Golden Bros raised his sword. We fight. Elara shook her head. No, not yet. Then what? Arya asked. Elara pointed to another hidden door. We go deeper. They started running. Behind them, shouts from the guards. They're down here. The door slammed shut behind them. Darkness, only the sound of their breathing. And ahead, an even deeper unknown. Elara spoke quietly. From here on, there's no turning back. Golden Bros looked at Arya. Are you ready? Arya answered softly. I want the truth. And into the darkness, they went deeper. Chapter 7. Silence filled the tunnel, only the sound of 3 sets of footsteps. Slow, heavy, weighed down by thought. Arya didn't speak. Her mind was spiraling. Her mother, the king, Valerian, and now, Elara. She stopped. You know everything, don't you? She asked quietly. Elara kept walking. She didn't stop. Not everything, she replied, but enough. Golden Bros walked beside them, silent, but his eyes, fixed on Elara. You were in the palace before, he said lowly. What were you? This time, Alara stopped. Silence. She slowly turned, that same hardened look in her eyes. But now, there was exhaustion beneath it. I was a guard. Aria stepped closer. Just a guard? Alara held her gaze. No. A deep breath. I was your mother's personal protector. Everything froze. Aria's heart stuttered. Then, you knew her? I didn't just know her, Alara said quietly. I stood beside her. That felt heavier somehow. Aria spoke slowly. Then, that night, you were there? Alara lowered her eyes. Yes. You saw everything? Silence. I couldn't stop it, Alara said. Not a direct answer, but enough. Aria understood. Her eyes filled with tears. So, my mother wasn't alone. Alara looked straight at her. No, but we couldn't protect her. Then, Golden Bros spoke quietly. My father. Both of them turned to him. Was he there that night? His voice was steady, but tight. Alara didn't answer, but her eyes carried guilt. That was enough. Golden Bros looked down. He died, he whispered, that same night. Alara spoke softly. He was a real soldier. There was respect in her voice, but beneath it, regret. Golden Bros said nothing, but his fist tightened. Arya spoke again quietly. Why was all of this hidden for so long? Alara started walking again. Because the truth isn't something everyone wants to know. No, Arya said. It's something no one lets you know. Alara stopped, a slight nod. You're right. Arya hesitated. My father, she paused. Does he know? Alara didn't answer directly. Your father, she said slowly, didn't always know everything. That only made things more confusing. Golden Bros frowned. What does that mean? It means, Alara said, there are things in this kingdom even the king doesn't control. Silence again, Arya whispered. The Shadow Council. Alara met her eyes. Yes, they're not just a group, Alara continued. They're a shadow. They use the king. Arya's eyes widened. Then, my father, he might just be a puppet, Golden Bros said. Alara didn't confirm it, but she didn't deny it either. Arya placed her hand against the cold wall. Everything inside her was changing. I didn't know anything, Golden Bros spoke gently. That's not your fault. Arya looked at him. No, she said quietly. But from now on, it's my responsibility. She stood straight, tears still in her eyes, but something stronger than fear rising within her. I'm going to find out everything. Where my mother is, who the Shadow Council really are, and who's been lying. Golden Bros stepped beside her. Then we do it together. Alara watched them both. Something shifted in her expression. You still don't understand, she said. If you go down this path, there's no coming back. Arya didn't hesitate. I don't want to come back. Ahead, a door, old, sealed. Alara stopped in front of it. Beyond this, she said quietly, everything changes. Golden Bros placed a hand on his sword, but didn't draw it. Arya stared at the door, her heart pounding, but not from fear, from truth. Alara placed her hand on the door. Slowly, it began to open. A cold wind rushed out from the darkness, and within that darkness, the past was waiting. Chapter 8. The door creaked open, and a wave of cold air rushed out. Arya stepped inside. The room wasn't large, but it felt heavy. A worn table stood in the center. Faint marks scratched into the walls, and on the floor, old, dried stains of blood. Arya stopped. This, she whispered. Alara's voice came quietly. This is the place. Silence. Golden Bros scanned the room. His expression hardened. This is where it happened? Alara nodded. Yes. Alara's gaze drifted to the wall. Her voice changed. Lower. Heavier. That night, the palace was burning. Flames everywhere. Screams. Running footsteps. Chaos. Alara stood with her sword drawn. In front of her, the queen, holding a small child in her arms. Aria. We're out of time, Alara said urgently. The queen's eyes held fear, but something stronger than fear, determination. They don't just want me, she said. They want my daughter too. Alara froze. Who? The queen answered quietly. The Shadow Council. A voice echoed from behind. So, this is where you are. Alara turned sharply. A figure stood there. Royal attire. Cold eyes. Duke Valerian. You're too late, he said calmly. Alara raised her sword. Take one more step, Valerian smiled. You still think you can stop this? Suddenly, the queen placed young Aria into Alara's arms. Take her. Alara froze. No, I won't leave you. This isn't an order, the queen said softly. It's a request. Tears filled her eyes. Let my daughter live. Then, a soldier rushed in. Captain Rowan, Goldenbrow's father. Alara, take her and go, he shouted. Alara looked at him. What about you? He raised his sword. I'll hold them off. Alara ran, carrying Aria. Behind her, clashing steel, shouting voices, she turned once. Rowan stood alone, facing countless enemies, and in that moment, she knew he wasn't coming back. Silence. Back in the present. Aria stood frozen, tears streaming down her face. So, she whispered, my mother that night. Alara lowered her eyes. She was taken. Goldenbrows spoke slowly. And my father? Alara looked at him. This time, she didn't look away. He fought until the end. Silence. And he died. Goldenbrows didn't move. No reaction. But his eyes said everything. Aria spoke softly. You couldn't save them. Alara closed her eyes. No. I couldn't save anyone. Not just the queen. But Rowan too. Aria whispered. Then, my mother is still alive? Alara hesitated. Yes. Silence. Goldenbrows looked at her. You're sure? Alara answered. The last time I saw her, she was alive. And the Shadow Council doesn't kill people they need. They keep them. Aria slowly sank to her knees, tears in her eyes. But now, hope. Then, we'll find her. Goldenbrows said quietly. We will. Alara stared ahead. But this time, we can't afford to fail. From deep within the tunnel, a sound. Footsteps. Someone was coming. A new danger. And the truth was no longer hidden. Chapter 9. The sound was getting closer. Deep within the tunnel, footsteps. Slow, heavy, steady. Someone was coming. Aria froze. Her heartbeat quickened again. They found us? She whispered. Goldenbrows tilted his head slightly, listening. No, he said quietly. This doesn't sound like soldiers. Alara stepped forward, her eyes fixed on the darkness. Stay quiet. Both of you. They fell silent. The sound grew louder. Tick, tick, tick. Metal striking the ground. Aria's throat went dry. What is that? Goldenbrows lowered his voice. Someone who wants to be heard. A shadow slowly emerged from the darkness. A man. No armor. No visible weapon. But the way he walked. Confident. Controlled. Been a while, the man said. Alara went still. I didn't expect you to still be alive. Goldenbrows narrowed his eyes. Who are you? The man smiled faintly. You're asking the wrong question. You should be asking who I work for. Silence. Aria spoke softly. The Shadow Council? The man looked directly at her. You learn fast, princess. But he didn't strike. He simply stopped. I'm not here to fight, he said. Goldenbrows stayed ready. Then why are you here? The man took a few slow steps. What you're searching for is far more dangerous than you think. Alara's voice dropped. You're here to stop us? He shook his head. No, I'm here to see how much you know. Aria stepped forward. Where is my mother? The question cut through everything. The man paused. A faint smile touched his face. You prefer direct questions. Good, because time is short. Silence. Golden Bros spoke sharply. Stop talking in circles. The man looked at all three of them. She's alive. Arya's breath caught. Where? She whispered. He leaned slightly closer. Where light doesn't reach. Where even the king cannot enter. Where only the Shadow Council decides who lives. Alara murmured. The dark prison. The man gave a small nod. You really think you can save her? Golden Bros answered. We'll try. The man let out a quiet laugh. Try? Many have tried. No one came back. Suddenly his tone shifted. One more thing. All three of them looked at him. One of you doesn't know the full truth. Silence. Arya frowned. What do you mean? The man's gaze shifted. To Alara. You haven't told them everything, have you? Alara stood still. No answer. Golden Bros looked at her. What is he talking about? Alara looked away. That silence was the loudest answer of all. Arya's chest tightened. There's more? She asked quietly. Alara stayed silent for a moment, then, you can't say everything at once. Why not? Golden Bros pressed. Because, she said, some truths will stop you from moving forward. The man straightened. Time's up. You have 3 days. After that, he smiled faintly. Every door will close. The wedding, the kingdom, everything will change. The man slowly stepped back into the darkness. His voice echoed one last time. If you want to save her, you'll have to face your own truths first. Silence returned. Arya turned to Alara. What are you hiding? Alara closed her eyes. When the time comes, I'll tell you. Golden Bros said quietly, we don't have time. Arya lifted her head. Then we'll make time. There was no fear in her eyes now. Only one thing. Purpose. Chapter 10. Silence settled back into the tunnel. But this time, it wasn't the same. It felt heavier. Arya stood still. Her eyes locked on Alara. What are you hiding? She asked again. Alara opened her eyes, but didn't answer directly. First, we decide what we're going to do, she said. Golden Bros spoke calmly. We're going to rescue the queen. Alara looked at him. It's not that simple. I didn't say it would be, he replied. I said we're doing it. A quiet pause followed. Alara moved toward the table. She pulled out an old map. This is the underground network beneath the palace, she said. Arya stepped closer. This area, she pointed to a dark section. Alara nodded. That's the dark prison. Golden Bros frowned. How many ways in? 3, Alara said. 1 is sealed. 1 is heavily guarded. And the third, she paused. Arya looked up. The third? It's a trap. Silence. Then, Golden Bros gave a faint smile. Then we take the trap. Arya stared at him. You're serious? The hardest path, he said, is the least expected. Alara watched him for a moment, then slowly nodded. You haven't changed, Golden Bros answered quietly. No, I just don't plan on losing this time. Arya looked at him. You've lost before? Silence. Golden Bros looked away. Alara's eyes lingered on him, but no one spoke. Arya broke the silence. My father. Both of them turned to her. Will he help us? Alara shook her head. He doesn't understand everything yet, Golden Bros added. Or, he understands and chooses not to see. Arya stiffened. No, she said. He's not like that. Alara replied softly. Everyone survives in their own way, Arya. Inside her, everything tangled again. Her father, her mother, the truth. I want to trust him, she said. Golden Bros met her eyes. Trust and truth aren't the same thing. Alara spoke firmly. We're out of time. Tomorrow night, we go down. Till then, she looked at both of them. No one fully trusts anyone. Silence. Arya frowned. What do you mean? Alara answered. The Shadow Council is everywhere. Even, she paused, close to us. Golden Bros spoke quietly. You suspect one of us? Alara didn't answer directly. I trust no one. The words hung in the air. A faint sound echoed from above. Someone moving. Close, Aria whispered. They're nearby. Alara reached out and blew out the candle. Darkness swallowed the room. We stay hidden tonight, she said. Tomorrow, everything begins. Golden Bros spoke low. No, tomorrow is the beginning of the end. Aria closed her eyes. Only one thought remained, her mother. In the darkness, the three of them stood still. Ahead of them, a plan, one that might save them, or destroy everything. Chapter 11. The night had passed, but no one had truly slept. Dim light flickered inside the tunnel. A single candle burned low. Aria sat in the corner, eyes open, still. She hadn't slept. She couldn't. Only one image filled her mind. Her mother. She's alive, she whispered to herself. The thought gave her strength, and at the same time, fear. Across the tunnel, Golden Bros leaned against the wall, eyes closed, but not asleep, thinking. His father. That night. Alara. Everything collided in his mind. He spoke under his breath. I was too late. So quiet. No one should have heard it, but Alara did. She stood at a distance, watching, listening, saying nothing. But her eyes held something old, guilt. She spoke quietly. This time, we can't be late. Golden Bros opened his eyes. For a moment, their gazes met. The past, unspoken words, unfinished accusations. All of it, in that single look. But neither of them spoke. Aria stood up. When do we go? She asked directly. Alara turned to her. Night. If we move during the day, we'll be seen. Golden Bros nodded. Then we don't have much time. Alara unfolded the map again. We don't move together, she said. Aria frowned. Why? Because this could be a trap. Silence. Golden Bros asked. What are you suggesting? Alara pointed to 3 paths. I go first. Bros, you take the middle. Aria, you stay behind. Aria narrowed her eyes. I can go first. No. One word. Sharp. You're still the target, Alara said. We keep you alive. Aria said nothing. Golden Bros spoke quietly. And if one of us betrays the others? Alara looked at him. Then none of us survive. Cold, but honest. Elsewhere, inside the palace, the king sat alone. Reports lay on the table. Unread. Aria, he murmured. Concern shadowed his face. You're hiding something. The door opened. The royal guards captain entered. Your Majesty, he said. Everything is under control. The king looked at him. I don't believe that. The captain paused. You suspect something? The king answered slowly. I just want certainty. Keep an eye on Aria. The captain bowed. As you wish. But as he turned to leave, a faint smile appeared on his face. Back in the tunnel, Aria spoke softly. Can we really do this? Golden Bros looked at her. We're not going to try. We're going to do it. Alara added quietly. After tonight, there's no turning back. Aria didn't hesitate. I'm ready. Somewhere in the distance, a heavy iron door slammed shut, slow, echoing, like something was being hidden, or someone was being locked away. Aria closed her eyes. Her lips moved softly. Mom. And in the darkness, a new chapter began. Chapter 12. Down here, time didn't exist. No one could tell if it was day or night anymore. The light dimmed, then flickered back. Breathing grew heavy, then steadied again. All 3 of them were ready, but none of them spoke. Aria stood still, her hand wrapped tightly around the small sword. Her grip tightened. The memory replayed in her mind. The first time she had taken a life. She closed her eyes for a moment. You okay? Golden Bros asked quietly. She opened them again. I'm fine. But her voice didn't fully believe it. Golden Bros didn't push. He simply nodded and looked ahead. It's time, Elara said. She folded the map. We split here. Aria frowned. Now? Yes. Now. There are 3 paths from here, Elara said, placing her hand against the wall. She pressed a hidden stone. A passage slowly opened. I take the left. She looked at Golden Bros. You take the center. Then at Aria. You take the right. Silence. No. Aria's voice cut through. Elara paused. I'm not going alone. Golden Bros spoke calmly. It's safer this way. No, Aria said, firmer this time. I'm done hiding. Elara studied her, a flicker of respect in her eyes. Fine. You stay with Bros. Golden Bros blinked slightly, but didn't argue. Elara spoke slowly. Remember this. If anything feels wrong, stop. Trust no one. As she said it, her eyes briefly met Golden Brothers, then Aria's. Silence. They split. Elara disappeared into the darkness. Aria and Golden Bros moved forward together. For a while, neither spoke. Do you trust her? Aria asked quietly. Golden Bros didn't stop walking. I don't know. But you're working with her, Aria said. Because we don't have another option, he replied. Silence. She's hiding something, Aria said. Golden Bros stopped, turned to her. You know what? He shook his head. I just know she was there that night. And my father. He didn't finish. Aria spoke softly. I'm sorry. Golden Bros looked away. There's nothing to be sorry for. I wasn't there. That truth hung heavy between them. They kept moving. Symbols appeared on the walls. Old. Carved deep into the stone. Aria stopped. What are these? Golden Bros looked closely. Ancient markings. For what? To mark the paths to the prison, he said. Only those who know can read them. Aria studied him. And you can read them. He didn't answer. Suddenly, a noise. They froze. This time, clear. Footsteps. Aria whispered. Them? Golden Bros shook his head. No, just one. A shadow shifted. No figure stepped out. But someone was there. Aria whispered. That man again? Golden Bros rested his hand on his sword. No, someone else. A voice echoed. You're moving too fast. They stayed still. The voice was calm. If you keep going like this, you'll lose your way. Aria stepped forward slightly. Show yourself. Silence. Then, a shadow shifted again, but never fully appeared. I'm not your enemy, the voice said. Golden Bros replied. That's what everyone says. A faint laugh. Fair enough. I'm only here to warn you, the voice continued. You're on the right path, but at the wrong time. Aria frowned. What does that mean? Someone is watching you, the voice said. For a long time now. Golden Bros muttered. Shadow Council? Silence. Then, maybe, suddenly, the presence vanished. Nothing. Only darkness. Aria whispered. We're not alone. Golden Bros answered. We never were. They moved forward again. Ahead, an iron door. Massive. Closed. A faint light leaked from beneath it. Aria slowed. Is this it? Golden Bros looked at it. This is the place. Silence. Aria's heart pounded. Her hand reached toward the door, then stopped. Are we ready? She asked. Golden Bros spoke quietly. No one ever is. But we don't stop. In the darkness, they stood together, and beyond that door, the truth waited. Chapter 13. The iron door stood before them, heavy, silent, and somehow alive. Aria stared at it for a moment, then slowly placed her hand against it. Cold. On the other side, she whispered. Golden Bros stepped beside her. The truth, he said. Silence. But inside that silence, there was fear, anticipation, and hesitation. Wait, Golden Bros said suddenly. Aria turned. What? He ran his hand along the wall beside the door. This isn't just a door. It's a signal point. Aria frowned. What do you mean? If we open it, he said quietly, someone will know. Silence. Aria spoke slowly. Then someone is already watching us. Golden Bros met her eyes. Just then, a faint sound behind them. They turned. Darkness. No one there. But the feeling. Still present. Aria whispered. That shadow voice. Golden Bros nodded. He's following us. A beat. But he's not attacking, Aria said. Because he wants us to move forward, Bros replied. That thought landed heavy. Elsewhere. Above the tunnel. A figure stood in the shadows. Looking down. They've reached the door, he murmured. In front of him, the Royal Guards captain. The captain smiled faintly. Good. Then the game begins. Back in the tunnel, Aria took a breath. We can't stop now, Golden Bros nodded. No. Open it. She inhaled deeply and pushed. The door groaned. Slowly, it began to open. A rush of cold air spilled out. The room was dark, but further inside, a single candle burned. Aria stepped in. Her eyes adjusted. Walls, chains, iron rings fixed into stone, a prison. But empty. There's no one here, she said. Golden Bros stepped in behind her, scanning. Then, he froze. On the wall, something written in blood. Aria moved closer. What is that? Golden Bros stared at it. A mark. Of what? He didn't answer immediately. Not the Shadow Council. Then who? Silence. Someone was here, he said slowly. And they wanted to leave a message. He paused. Aria whispered. What message? That they're still alive. Aria's breath shook. My mother? Golden Bros didn't answer directly. Maybe. But that one word was enough. Hope returned. Suddenly, a sound behind them. They turned. Click. The door. Closing. No! Aria rushed forward. Too late. Slam. The door shut. They were trapped. On the other side, the Royal Guard's captain stood still. Beside him, the shadowed figure. Keep them inside, the captain said quietly. The deeper they go, the easier it will be to end them. The shadow figure asked softly. You're certain? The captain smiled. I'm always certain. Inside the chamber, Aria slammed her hand against the door. Open it! Golden Bros remained calm. Stop, he said. This was planned. Aria turned to him. What do you mean? He looked around the room. They wanted us here. Silence. Aria whispered. Then we walked into a trap. Golden Bros nodded. Then, quieter. But we're getting out. In the dark chamber, they stood together, and ahead of them, an unknown path. Chapter 14. The door slammed shut. The heavy sound still echoed in the air. Aria stepped back slowly. Her breathing quickened. We're trapped, she said. Golden Bros nodded, but there was no fear in his voice. He was already scanning the room. Walls, floor, chains, looking for something. This isn't a normal prison, he said. Aria frowned. What do you mean? Golden Bros placed his hand against the wall. No one was meant to stay here. Then what is it? It's used to, he said slowly, bring people in. Silence. And then, he looked at her, to see what they do. A chill ran through her. So, someone's watching us? Aria whispered. Golden Bros didn't hesitate. Silence. Aria looked around. Nothing visible, but the feeling, unmistakable. In the corner of the wall, a small crack. Golden Bros noticed it. He moved closer. Here. He crouched down and looked through it. Darkness. But Someone's there, he whispered. Aria spoke quietly. They're playing with us. Golden Bros nodded. But we're not playing by their rules. He knelt and examined the floor, tracing the stone lines with his fingers. Pressed down. A section shifted slightly. There's a second layer under this, he said. Aria leaned closer. What do you mean? This room isn't the real one. There's something beneath it. Then, a voice behind them. You still think the same way. Both of them froze, slowly turned. From the darkness, someone stepped forward. A young man, tired eyes, faint scars on his face, simple clothes, but his gaze, sharp, knowing. You, Golden Bros said. He frowned. Who are you? The boy smiled faintly. My name is Riven. Aria studied him. How did you get in here? Riven answered calmly. I've been here for a long time. Silence. Golden Bros stepped closer. You with the Shadow Council? Riven shook his head. No, but I worked for them. The air shifted. Aria spoke slowly. Then you're not someone we can trust. Riven gave a small smile. You're right. But if you want to get out, you'll need me. Silence. Golden Bros asked. Why help us? Riven paused. Something flickered in his eyes. Because I want out. And I can't do it alone. Aria looked at him carefully. How long have you been here? Riven answered quietly. I stopped counting. The weight of that lingered. Golden Bros said low. Why should we trust you? Riven stepped forward. He pressed a section of the floor. Click. The stone shifted open. Below, another dark passage. Because I know the way out, he said. Silence. Aria looked at Golden Brothers. Do we trust him? Golden Brothers hesitated, then said, We don't have another option. Riven's voice dropped. Then remember this. Once we go down, there's no coming back. Aria didn't hesitate. I already left that path behind. The three of them stood at the edge of the opening. Darkness below, deeper, heavier, something unknown waiting. Above them, the Royal Guard's captain stood watching. They're going deeper, he murmured. A slow smile formed. Exactly as planned. And in the darkness, the game became even more dangerous. Chapter 15. The passage below was narrow, too narrow. Darkness pressed in from all sides. Even the air felt old, heavy. Riven went first. Then Golden Brothers Aria followed last. The moment they stepped down, a cold silence wrapped around them. This place was different. The tunnels above felt empty. But here, something felt alive. This place, Aria whispered. Riven didn't stop walking. Isn't normal, he said. Golden Bros scanned the walls. Carvings, symbols, ancient markings etched deep into stone. These, he murmured. Riven answered quietly. Left behind by the ones who were here. Who? Aria asked. Riven slowed slightly. The ones who never made it out. Silence. Golden Bros looked at him carefully. How much do you actually know? Riven gave a faint smile. Enough to stay alive. Not a full answer. Aria noticed. He wasn't telling everything. Were you alone down here? Aria asked. Riven paused. For just a second. Something in his expression broke. No. Just one word. But enough. Someone had been with him. And now. They weren't. A sound. From deeper ahead. Slow. Dragging. All three froze. Aria whispered. What is that? Riven lowered his voice. Quiet. They stepped back into the shadows. Something moved. A shape. Not fully seen. Not fully human. It passed by. And disappeared. This place doesn't just hold prisoners, Riven said. Silence. Golden Bros frowned. Then what? Riven didn't look at him. It holds what's left of them. The words landed wrong. Aria's voice shook. What did they do to them? Riven's answer came quietly. They used them. Golden Bros spoke under his breath. The Shadow Council doesn't just imprison people. They experiment. Riven nodded slightly. And your mother? He stopped. She matters. That changed everything. Aria's chest tightened. What did they do to her? No one answered. Silence filled the space. They moved forward again. A massive iron gate stood ahead, different from the last one. Beyond it, faint light. Aria slowed. We're close, Riven nodded. But this is where it gets harder. Golden Bros stepped forward. Can we open it? Riven shook his head. No. It opens from the inside. Silence. Then what? Aria asked. Riven looked at her. We take another path. There is another way, he said. But, he hesitated. Golden Bros stepped closer. Say it. Riven's voice dropped. If you go that way, you'll see something you won't forget. Aria's eyes hardened. There's already too much I can't forget. Suddenly, voices echoed from above. Guards. They're down there. All three looked at each other. Time was gone. Riven spoke low. Sighed now. Turn back? Silence. Aria stepped forward. No. Golden Bros moved beside her. We finish this. Riven gave a faint smile. Then follow me. He turned and walked into another dark path. They followed, swallowed by the darkness. Above them, the Royal Guard's captain watched. They're exactly where we want them, he said softly, a cold satisfaction in his eyes. Now we wait. And below, the darkness deepened. Chapter 16. The path grew narrower, the air heavier. Riven walked ahead, but slower now. Golden Bros noticed. We're close, aren't we? He asked. Riven didn't stop. To what? Aria asked. This time, Riven stopped. He turned slowly. Something in his eyes had changed. The truth. Silence. They moved forward. A smaller door stood ahead, different from the others. Older, carved into it, a crown, and beneath it, a broken mark. Aria's breath caught. This, Golden Bros spoke quietly, the royal crest. Riven stood in front of the door, but didn't open it. Open it, Golden Bros said. Riven closed his eyes briefly. What's inside? He said. You won't want to see. Aria stepped forward. There's a lot I didn't want to see. But I saw it anyway. Silence. Riven placed his hand on the door. It creaked open. Inside, a small room, but the walls covered. Words, marks, scratches. And in the center, an iron chair, bound with chains. Aria's breath stopped. This, she whispered. Riven answered quietly. An interrogation room. Silence. Golden Bros scanned the walls. Then, he froze. Written in blood. I'm still alive. Aria's hands began to tremble. Is that her writing? Riven didn't answer. But he didn't look away. That was the answer. Golden Bros spoke slowly. They didn't kill her. No, Riven said. They tried to break her. The words hit harder than anything else. Aria turned to him. How do you know all this? Silence. Then, Riven didn't hold back. Because I was here. Both of them froze. What do you mean? Golden Bros asked. Riven answered quietly. I worked for them. Silence. I brought people here. Aria's eyes widened. Then you? Yes, Riven said. I was one of them. Silence filled the room. Riven spoke again. I saw her. Aria's heart shook. My mother? Riven lowered his head. She called your name, Riven said. Every day. Tears fell down Aria's face. She believed you were alive. Silence. Golden Bros spoke low. Where is she now? Riven looked up. His eyes, hard now. Not here. They moved her. Where? Aria whispered. Silence. Then, the final place. Where no one comes back. Silence. Aria's breathing grew heavier. We're going there, she said. Golden Bros stepped beside her. Riven watched them, something uncertain in his eyes. You don't understand, he said quietly. If you go there, you won't be the same. Aria didn't hesitate. I'm already not. In the darkness of that room, the three of them stood still, and the truth was no longer hidden. Chapter 17. Silence filled the room. No one spoke. The words on the wall, "I'm still alive," they kept pulling the eye back, again and again. Aria stepped closer. Her hand trembled. She reached out, touched the writing, dry now. But once, it had been blood. She was here, she whispered, her voice breaking. She was alone. Riven stayed quiet for a moment, then spoke. She was never alone. Aria turned sharply. What do you mean? Riven stepped forward slowly. They didn't let her be alone. Something about that felt wrong. Golden Bros frowned. Why? Riven answered quietly. Because they wanted to break her. A pause. But she didn't break. Your mother, Riven continued. She wasn't like the others. They brought many people here. Some lasted days, some hours. He stopped. But her? She stayed silent. She gave them nothing. Aria's chest tightened. Tears filled her eyes. She was strong. Riven nodded. She was. Golden Bros spoke low. Then why did they move her? Silence. Riven took a moment before answering. Because, they realized, this place couldn't hold her anymore. Why? Because she was changing people. The words hit hard. Aria froze. What do you mean? Riven explained quietly. The guards watching her. They started listening. They started questioning. Silence. Golden Bros said softly. They got scared. Riven nodded. Your mother was a prisoner, but she was never weak. Tears slipped down Aria's face. I wasn't there for her. Golden Bros stepped beside her. You were alive, he said. That was enough for her. Aria closed her eyes, her breathing heavy. But something inside her was changing. Where did they take her? Aria asked, her voice steadier now. Less fear, more resolve. Riven answered slowly. The final level, the deepest part underground, where only... He stopped. Golden Bros finished it. The Shadow Council enters. Riven nodded. If you go there, Riven said, coming back is almost impossible. Why? Because it's not just a prison. It's where they hide the truth. Aria looked at him. Why are you helping us? Riven didn't answer immediately. His gaze dropped. Because I didn't stop it before, he said. This time, I will. Simple words, heavy meaning. Golden Bros met his eyes. You know the way? Riven nodded. Yeah. But it's not direct. We take the long route. Aria stood tall, tears still in her eyes, but something stronger burning beneath them. We're going. No hesitation. Riven spoke quietly. Once you go down there, you won't return to who you were, Aria answered. I already left that behind. Golden Bros stepped beside her. So did I. Then, footsteps, louder this time. Multiple. Guards. Close. Riven moved quickly. Time's up. He pressed against the wall. A hidden passage opened. Below, darker, deeper, and ahead, the final path. The three of them exchanged one look, then stepped forward, into the darkness. Above, the Royal Guards captain watched. They're heading to the final level, he murmured. A cold smile formed. Now the real game begins, and the darkness closed in around them. Chapter 18. The hidden path spiraled downward, slowly, turning, deeper. All three moved together. No one spoke. Because now, they all knew. This was the final level. The air grew colder. Breathing became harder. Aria kept a hand against the wall as she walked. This place, she whispered. Riven answered quietly. No one wants to come here. Golden Bros scanned the darkness. But this is where they hide, he said. Silence. The darkness here felt different, not just the absence of light, but something created, deliberate. The markings on the walls had changed. Above, they warned. Here, they sealed. Like something had been locked away. Riven slowed. "We're close," he said. Golden Bros glanced at him. "You're scared?" Riven didn't answer right away. "I know what's down here." That was enough. Aria stared ahead. Fear lingered in her eyes. But it didn't stop her. "She's here," she whispered. "I can feel it." Golden Bros looked at her, said nothing, but stayed close. They reached it. A massive door, larger than any before. Black iron. At its center, a symbol, a crown. Surrounded by a dark circle, Riven spoke softly. "This is it." Silence. "How do we open it?" Aria asked. Riven shook his head. "You don't. It doesn't open from outside." Silence. Golden Bros said. "Then someone's inside." Riven met his eyes. Then, a sound. From within. Metal grinding. The door began to open on its own. None of them moved. The door opened fully. Inside, a vast hall. Dark. But at the center, a single light. And beneath it, a figure. Seated, bound in chains, still. Aria's breath caught. "Mom!" She stepped forward. But Golden Bros grabbed her wrist. "Slow," he said. Riven didn't move. His eyes narrowed. "Something's off." Silence. The figure didn't move, didn't speak. Golden Bros lowered his voice. "This is too easy." Aria looked at him. "What do you mean?" "They wanted us here." The words shifted everything. Then, a voice. From the shadows. At last, all three turned. A figure stepped out. Calm. Cold. In control. "The Royal Guard's captain. You've come a long way," he said. Silence. Aria's eyes burned. "Where is my mother?" The captain smiled faintly. "Right in front of you." He glanced toward the light. "But are you sure that's how you want to see her?" Silence. Aria's heart pounded. She looked forward. The figure under the light slowly lifted its head, the face still hidden in shadow. But one thing was certain. Everything was about to change. Chapter 19. Silence. Everyone stared. At the figure beneath the light, Aria's breathing grew heavy. "Mom," she whispered again. But this time, there was doubt in her voice. The figure slowly lifted its head. The light revealed the face. Eyes. Tired. Skin. Pale. But something wasn't right. Aria stepped back. "No," Golden Bros frowned. "What is it?" Aria's voice trembled. "That's not her." Silence. Riven spoke quietly. "That's not your mother." The words dropped like stone. Aria's eyes widened. "No. That can't be." She looked again. "She looks like her." "She does," Riven said. "But she isn't." The Royal Guard's captain stepped forward, a cold smile on his face. "You came looking for the truth. So I showed it to you," Aria snapped. "You're lying!" He shook his head. "No. I'm showing you what you want to see," Golden Bros muttered. "An illusion?" Riven shook his head. "No. An experiment." Silence. The captain continued. "We don't just imprison people. We change them." He gestured toward the figure. "We create something new." A chill ran through Aria. "What did you do?" The captain smiled faintly. "We didn't break her. We copied her." Aria stepped back. Tears filled her eyes. "No. Then where is my mother?" Silence. Riven said quietly. "She's not here." The captain looked at him. "You're saying quite a lot, Riven." Riven didn't look away. "Just enough." The captain spoke calmly. Your mother was here. But she became dangerous. Golden Bros stepped forward. So you moved her. The captain nodded. Yes. She was changing people. Aria's voice shook. Where did you send her? Silence. Then, somewhere no one wants to go, the captain said, because no one comes back. Golden Bros stepped closer. Tell me where. His voice was calm, but his eyes, sharp, dangerous. The captain studied him. You're just like your father. Time froze. What? Bros said. The captain continued. He was the same. Fought until the end. And changed nothing. Silence. Aria stepped forward. No tears now. Only fire. You're wrong. The captain raised an eyebrow. Oh? You think we can't change anything? Silence. We will. Suddenly, the door behind them slammed shut. Voices. Guards. Closing in. Riven said under his breath. This was the real trap. Golden Bros placed his hand on his sword, but didn't draw it. We're not done yet. Aria stepped forward, eyes locked ahead. This is just the beginning. In the darkness, everyone stood ready, and the truth was about to unfold completely. Chapter 20. The door slammed shut. Footsteps echoed all around them. Slow, closing in. Aria stood still. No fear in her eyes now. This was their plan, she said. The Royal Guard's captain stepped forward. Yes, he replied calmly. You always end up exactly where we want you. Golden Bros spoke evenly. You used us. The captain smiled faintly. You came on your own. Riven stepped back slightly, his eyes scanning the room. The guards hadn't fully entered yet. There was still time, but not much. He lowered his voice. We move now. Aria looked at him. Where? Riven answered. Not here. This isn't the real place. Silence. The captain let out a quiet laugh. Finally, he said. Riven met his gaze. You knew all along. The captain nodded. I control everything. Your mother was here. But now, he paused. She's in the shadow hall. Silence. Golden Bros said quietly. The final place. Riven nodded. Aria closed her eyes, her breathing heavy. I want to see her, she said. This time, I go all the way. At that moment, the guards rushed in, steel clashing, boots hitting stone, but Golden Bros didn't draw his sword. He looked at Riven. The way? Riven pointed to the floor. This isn't just another layer. It's the exit. He pressed a hidden stone. Click. The floor cracked open. Below, another path. Now, Riven said. Aria didn't hesitate. She jumped. Golden Bros followed instantly. Riven came last. Behind them, shouts echoed. They're escaping! The captain didn't move, didn't chase. He simply watched. Good, he murmured. They're going exactly where we want them. A cold smile spread across his face. Welcome to the Shadow Hall. Below, the darkness deepened. But this time, a light appeared in the distance, still, powerful. Riven spoke quietly. That's the final place, Golden Bros replied. Not the end. The beginning. Aria looked ahead. No fear left in her eyes. Only one thing remained, the need to know the truth. And in the darkness, the three of them moved forward. Toward everything. Chapter 21. The path below had changed. No more narrow tunnels. Now, it was wide, tall, and unnaturally silent. The three of them walked slowly. No one spoke. Because whatever lay ahead, none of them truly understood it. In the distance, the light grew clearer. A massive door, carved from black stone. At its center, a symbol. A crown. Encircled by a perfect ring. Riven stopped. Shadow Hall, he said quietly. Silence. Aria stepped forward. Her eyes locked on the door. She's inside, she whispered. Golden Bros moved beside her. But this time, he paused. This isn't just about finding her. Aria looked at him. This ends here. That changed everything. Riven stepped back slightly, his gaze fixed on the door. Once you go in, he said, you're not coming back out. Golden Bros glanced at him. And you? Silence. Riven gave a faint smile. I lost my way out a long time ago. The weight of that lingered. Aria spoke softly. You brought us here. Because you couldn't come alone. Riven met her eyes. But I didn't use you, he added. I gave you a chance. Silence. Golden Bros replied. Those aren't the same thing. For a moment, the three of them looked at each other. Trust wasn't complete, but their path was the same. Aria stepped forward, placed her hand against the stone. Cold. Then, the door began to open on its own, slowly, a deep, echoing sound. The shadow hall revealed itself, vast, endless. The ceiling disappeared into darkness. Shadows stretched in every direction. But at the center, a single light, and beneath it, a throne, and in front of it, a figure, standing still, waiting. Golden Bros stopped. They're here, he said. Riven's voice dropped. Not just one. Silence. In the darkness, more shadows shifted, many of them. Watching, silent. Aria stepped ahead. Mom. Her voice trembled, but she didn't stop. Aria, slow down, Golden Bros said, but she didn't hear him. Then, the figure ahead spoke. You're too late. The voice was calm, controlled, but strangely familiar. Aria froze. Her eyes widened. That voice. Silence fell over everything, because whoever stood there might not be an enemy, or might be the truth she wasn't ready to face. Chapter 22. The Shadow Hall stood silent. No one moved. Ahead, the figure stood half in light, half in shadow. Aria's breath caught. That voice, she whispered. Her feet moved on their own. Golden Bros reached out. Aria, wait! But she didn't stop. The figure stepped forward slowly. More light touched his face. Eyes, tired. Face, calm, too calm. Aria froze. Her lips trembled. Dad? Silence. Golden Bros went still. Riven looked away. The man before them, the king, but not the same man. The warmth in his eyes was gone, replaced by something cold, unmoving. You came, the king said quietly, like he had been waiting. Aria's chest tightened. Why are you here? She asked. You didn't even know. She stopped herself. You didn't know. The king gave a faint smile. You wanted to believe that. Silence. Golden Bros spoke low. So you knew everything. The king looked at him. Not everything, but enough. Vague. And dangerous. Aria stepped back. You did nothing? All this time? Her voice cracked. The king answered slowly. Not everything can be stopped. Not an excuse. A confession. From the shadows, figures emerged. Black cloaks, faces hidden. The Shadow Council. Silent. Watching. Golden Bros stepped forward. You're with them? Silence. The king didn't answer directly. I couldn't fight them alone. Half-truth. At best. Aria spoke softly. So you didn't stop them. The king met her eyes. I saved the kingdom. That changed everything. For one life, the king said. You don't risk an entire kingdom. Silence. Aria's eyes filled with tears. She's not just one life. She's my mother. Silence deepened. The king paused, then said, I know. And somehow, that hurt the most. Golden Bros stepped closer. You could have saved her. The king looked at him. Your father believed that too. Time froze. What? The king spoke slowly. He fought until the end. But he didn't understand. This isn't a battle you win with a sword. The words carried weight. Riven said nothing, but his fists tightened. He knew more, but hadn't said it. Aria stepped forward, tears in her eyes. Where is she? Silence. The king didn't answer directly. He turned, looking behind him. One member of the Shadow Council stepped forward, slowly, pointed into the darkness. Deeper inside, another door. Beyond it, the final truth. Silence filled the hall. Aria stared ahead, her breathing heavy. This time, she wouldn't stop. Chapter 23. The air inside the shadow hall felt heavy. Silence pressed down on everything. The king began walking forward slowly. Aria watched him. Are you coming with us? She asked. He didn't stop. I won't let you walk this path alone, he said. The words came far too late. Golden Bros stepped forward, fire in his eyes. Then where were you all this time? Silence. Why didn't you save the queen? The question landed hard. Everything stopped. The king turned slowly, his eyes tired. Because I had to save the kingdom, he said. Silence. Aria's chest tightened. For one life, the king continued. I couldn't let thousands die. Not an excuse, a brutal truth. Golden Bros clenched his jaw. So you abandoned her. The king lowered his gaze. I lost her, he said quietly. They moved forward. The last door stood before them. Black, massive. Beyond it, everything. Aria whispered. She's here. Riven nodded faintly. The king stepped forward, placed his hand on the door, closed his eyes for a second, then opened it. Inside, a large chamber. At the center, a figure bound in chains. Light fell over her, slowly. She lifted her head. Aria froze. Mom, this time. It was real. The queen. Weak, worn, but her eyes still strong. Aria, she whispered. Aria ran to her, dropped to her knees. I've been looking for you, she cried. The queen lifted her hand, touched her face. You're alive. Silence. Golden Bros stood nearby. Riven lowered his head, and the king remained at a distance. Suddenly, slam. The door shut. Everyone turned. Shadows moved. From the darkness, Duke Valerian stepped forward, a cold smile on his face. Beside him, the Royal Guards captain and the Shadow Council. Finally, Valerian said. Everyone in one place. Silence. Valerian walked closer. This was always my plan, he said. To bring all of you here, together. Aria's eyes hardened. You? He raised a hand. No, princess, he said, calmly. Now you listen. He turned to the king. I can save the queen. Silence. The king stepped forward. What do you want? Valerian smiled. You already know. You and the princess will come with me. You will approve our marriage. You will declare me king. Silence. And hand over the kingdom. Everything froze. Aria shook her head. No, but... The king looked at her, pain in his eyes. I will do it, he said. Silence. Just let them live. That broke everything. Valerian nodded. I won't kill them. He glanced at Golden Bros and the queen, but they remain prisoners, alive. No, father, Aria cried, but the king grabbed her hand. This is the only way, he said, his voice breaking. Guards rushed in. They seized the queen, and Golden Brothers Riven stepped back. Unable to move, Aria cried out, I'll come back for you. Golden Brothers looked at her. In his eyes, a quiet promise. I'll wait. Valerian turned away, taking the king, and Aria with him. The door shut again. Darkness. Inside, the queen. Golden Bros, still captive. Outside, the kingdom had already begun to change. Chapter 24. Heavy silence filled the dark chamber. The faint clink of chains echoed. The queen sat on the ground, exhausted, but her eyes still held strength. Golden Bros stood beside her, his hands bound. Riven leaned against the wall nearby, watching, waiting. "We don't have time," the queen said quietly, her voice weak, but steady. Golden Bros looked at her. "We'll get out," he said. She shook her head. "We have to act tonight." Silence. "Because tomorrow." She paused, her eyes filled with emotion. "My daughter will be married to that monster." The words settled heavily in the room. Riven straightened. "There is a way," he said. Golden Bros turned. "Where?" Riven pointed to the floor. "This isn't the only layer. There's another beneath it." The queen frowned. "You're sure?" Riven nodded. "I helped build this place." Silence. Golden Bros said quietly, "Then you know the way out." "But," Riven added, "it won't be easy. There are guards, Shadow Council." Golden Bros gave a faint smile. "That's my part." Riven stepped forward, pulled out a small metal tool, worked the lock. The chains released. Golden Bros flexed his hands. The strength returned to his eyes. "We move together," he said. The queen stood slowly. "I won't be fast," she admitted. Golden Bros nodded. "Stay close to me." Riven shifted a section of the floor. A passage opened beneath them. "Through here," he said. They descended. The moment they reached the lower level, footsteps. Figures emerged. Members of the Shadow Council. Cold eyes. "They're escaping," one of them said. Silence. Golden Bros stepped forward, drew his sword. "Stay behind me." The queen and Riven moved back. The council advanced. But Golden Bros didn't hesitate. His movements. Fast. Precise. Every strike. Calculated. One fell. Another staggered back. He wasn't just fighting. He was clearing a path. Riven watched closely. "He hasn't changed," he murmured. The queen spoke softly. "He's his father's son." At a distance, the royal guards, Captain watched. For the first time, fear flickered across his face. "This isn't going as planned." Golden Bros kept advancing. Unstoppable. The captain stepped back. "I'm not staying here." He turned and fled. Golden Bros exhaled. The corridor was clear. Bodies on the ground. Silence again. He turned back. "Let's move." The queen stepped forward, strength returning to her eyes. "We have to hurry. We need to save my daughter." Golden Bros nodded. "We will." The three of them moved forward. The darkness slowly began to fade. Ahead, light, the path to the palace. Above, a wedding awaited. Time was running out. Chapter 25. The night was fading. A pale light crept across the sky. In front of the royal palace, a grand ceremony had already begun to form. The announcement of the wedding had spread. The court was full. Envoys from distant lands, nobles, soldiers, all waiting. Then, at the palace gates, 3 figures appeared. Slowly, step by step. At first the guards didn't understand. Then, their eyes widened. "That's Golden Brothers, the Queen, Riven, standing together, exhausted, but unbroken." The entire courtyard froze. On the palace steps, the king stood, beside him, Princess Aria, and in front, Duke Valerian. Valerian's expression shifted. "Impossible," he whispered. The king didn't hesitate. His voice thundered across the courtyard. "Arrest Duke Valerian!" The silence shattered. Guards surged forward. Valerian stepped back. "You can't do this!" he shouted. The king met his gaze. No hesitation left. I've already waited too long, he said. Not any more. The guards seized him. He struggled, but this time, no one stood with him. No shadow council, no royal guard captain. He was alone. This isn't over, he muttered, but the power in his voice was gone. Aria broke away, ran forward, straight to her mother. Mom! The queen looked up. Tears filled her eyes. Aria! They embraced tightly. After everything, the distance, the pain, it all collapsed into that moment. Aria cried into her shoulder. I thought I lost you. The queen held her gently. I never left you, she whispered. Silence. Everyone watched. Golden Bros stood a short distance away, exhaustion on his face. But in his eyes, peace. Riven stood beside him. You made it, Riven said. Golden Bros gave a faint smile. We're not done yet. The king stepped forward. His voice carried across the entire palace. From this day forward, silence fell again. No shadow will rule this kingdom. A pause. The Shadow Council is dissolved. Duke Valerian's authority is stripped. The guards dragged him away. The king continued. This kingdom will no longer be ruled by fear, but by justice. Aria stood beside her mother. She looked toward Golden Brothers. 1 second, eyes met. No words spoken, but everything understood. The sun rose higher. A new day began, but it wasn't over. Fragments of the Shadow Council still remained. The royal guard captain had escaped, and the story was far from finished. Chapter 26. The palace felt different today. Just days ago, it was filled with fear. Now, there was light, peace, slowly returning, but some feelings were still unsettled. Aria stood in the palace garden. A soft breeze moved through the air. Her eyes were fixed in the distance, but her thoughts were somewhere else. She was looking for someone. On the other side of the garden, Golden Bros stood alone, looking up at the sky, silent, that distance, still there. Aria walked toward him slowly. You're here, she said. Golden Bros turned. Everything feels calm now, Aria said. Silence. She hesitated, then spoke softly. Thank you. Golden Bros frowned slightly. For what? Aria smiled faintly. For everything. For saving me. For bringing my mother back. For staying by my side. Silence. Golden Bros didn't respond. He just looked at her. The air shifted. Heavier now. Aria looked down, her hands trembling slightly. Can I tell you something? Golden Bros nodded. Go ahead. Aria slowly looked up. I like you. Silence. Even the wind seemed to stop. Not just as a soldier. Not just as someone who protects me. She paused. You. Golden Bros stood still. Something changed in his eyes. But he said nothing. Aria's heart raced. What about you? Do you like me? Silence. Golden Bros took a slow breath. There was hesitation in his gaze. That question, he began. He paused. I can't answer it right now. Aria's expression faltered. Why? Golden Bros spoke quietly. Because I want to be sure that this isn't just a moment, that it's something more. Silence. He looked at her. I'll give you my answer tomorrow. Not a no, not a yes, just time. Aria stayed quiet for a moment, then nodded softly. Her voice was gentle, but inside, everything was moving. Night settled over the palace. Silence returned. Aria sat on her bed, thinking about everything, her heart still racing. Will he say yes? Or... She closed her eyes. Her final thought, Golden Brothers, his eyes, his voice, and that unfinished answer. Slowly, she fell asleep. Elsewhere, Golden Brothers stood alone, under the moonlight, looking into the distance. Can I do this? He whispered. His fist tightened, because tomorrow wasn't just an answer, it was a decision. Chapter 27. Just outside the palace, a garden, filled with color, flowers blooming in every direction, a soft breeze drifting through, the sunlight warm and gentle. Late afternoon, Aria stood alone. Her eyes kept drifting toward the path. Today was the day she'd get her answer. Her heart wouldn't slow down. He'll come, right? She whispered. Time felt stretched. Every second. Heavy. Then, a figure appeared in the distance. Slowly, Golden Bros approached, his steps calm, but his eyes uncertain. He stopped in front of her. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Only the wind and the scent of flowers. Aria spoke softly. You came. Golden Bros nodded. I don't break promises like that. A faint smile. But the tension lingered. Golden Bros took a deep breath. I thought about it all night, he said. A lot. Aria didn't look away. You're a princess, he said. The future of this kingdom. And he paused. I'm just a soldier. Silence. My life has always been war, he continued. I don't belong here. Those words were his truth. Aria moved closer. There was pain in her eyes, but no fear. You still think that little of yourself? She asked. Golden Bros said nothing. She stood right in front of him. You're not just a soldier, she said. You're the one who changed my life. You brought my mother back. You saved me. Silence. And most importantly, you didn't let me face any of it alone. That landed deeper than anything else. The air stilled. Golden Bros looked at her, his hesitation fading. I'm not saying this as a princess, Aria continued. I'm saying this as me. I want you. Golden Bros closed his eyes for a moment. All the doubt, the fear, the responsibility, colliding inside him. Then he opened them. I'm scared, he admitted. Aria smiled softly. Me too. Silence. Then, yes, he said quietly, soft, but certain. I like you. And just like that, everything changed. Aria's eyes filled with tears, but she smiled. A real smile. For the first time in a long while, they didn't say anything else. They just started walking together. Through the garden, side by side, few words, more feeling. After everything they'd been through, this was the first real moment of peace. Their hands brushed, their eyes met. No rush, just natural. Then, footsteps, many of them. Golden Bros stopped instantly. His eyes sharpened. Someone's coming. Aria turned. Her smile faded. From the shadows, the royal guards. Captain stepped forward. Behind him, soldiers, a lot of them. A cold smile on his face. Beautiful moment, he said. Shame it won't last. He raised his hand. Take them. The soldiers charged. Silence shattered. Peace. Gone. Golden Bros stepped forward. Stay behind me. Aria looked at him. This time, there was fear, but she wasn't alone. They were surrounded. Flowers swayed in the wind. A peaceful place, turning into a battlefield. And love was about to be tested. Chapter 28. The peace of the garden shattered. Soldiers surrounded them. Steel flashed. At the center, the royal guard's captain stood still, his eyes cold. You thought it was over? He said quietly. Golden Bros stepped forward. You ran. The captain smiled faintly. I survived. Because of what you've done. He listed it, one by one. You destroyed the Shadow Council. You brought down Duke Valerian and weakened this kingdom. Silence. I won't allow that. He continued. This kingdom still needs strength. His gaze shifted to Aria. And I'll be that strength. Take them. The soldiers rushed forward. Golden Bros stepped ahead. Stay behind me. Aria stood behind him, fear in her eyes, but trust, too. Blades rose. The first soldier attacked. One strike. Down. Second. Third. Golden Bros didn't stop. Every movement, precise, controlled. He wasn't just fighting, he was protecting. One by one, they fell. The garden floor, marked by the battle. Aria watched. Fear. And something else. Pride. The soldiers were down. Only one remained. The captain. He stepped back. A strange smile on his face. You're strong, he said. But you forgot one thing. Golden Bros narrowed his eyes. What? The captain lifted a bow. His aim. Aria. Everything slowed. No! Golden Bros shouted. 3 arrows flew, straight toward her. No hesitation. He stepped in front of her. Impact. One, then another, then a third. Time froze. Aria screamed. Golden! He was still standing. Barely. His eyes locked on the captain. With the last of his strength, he threw his sword. It cut through the air and struck. The captain staggered, then fell. The Royal Guards captain. Finished. Golden Bros dropped to his knees, his body trembling. Aria rushed forward, catching him. She held him tightly. He looked at her weakly. A faint smile. You're safe. Aria shook her head, crying. No, don't talk. We'll save you, he whispered. No, this is enough. His hand lifted, touching her face. I told you. I'd give you an answer. His breath faltered. I love you. Aria broke down. No, you can't leave me. His eyes slowly closed. That soft smile, still there. His hand fell. Silence. He was gone. The flowers swayed gently. The wind faded. Aria held him. Tears unstoppable. In her arms, the one she loved, gone. In the distance, the palace bells rang. A new day rose. But for Aria, everything had changed. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video and leave a comment telling us how you felt about the ending. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next story.